Welcome to is this the last Friday in February? No, one more. So, yes, I just took all the wind out of yourselves. I mean, I was so excited to have a not piece of news to talk about, like it was news.
You were like, for special thing.
For those of you who are listening or watching this live stream or listening on the podcast, the hilarious moment right there, as I'm like starting to think of like, oh my gosh, is this the last Friday? Nathan, our producer, is behind stage, like, so I can see him, but you can't see him.
Right.
And you obviously can't see him if you're on the podcast. And he's just shaking his head like real big, like, no, get on it, Paul. It's
again
over.
with the days. Okay,
Here we go.
Get it.
It's Friday. But in other news,
if anybody ever wondered whether or not this show is scripted, listen for 3 days.
You're an idiot. I'll just say it. You are not astute.
You are not astute. Yes.
No. And in other news, it did snow a lot in Syracuse again.
Oh my goodness. I'm so sorry.
Actually, I think I got no more snow than Nathan last night. But it's like a light puffy, powdery snow today.
That's bless your heart. You know,
I looked at the 10-day forecast or 7-day forecast. It is going to be above freezing for all of the next 7 days.
Wow, that's amazing.
I mean, we're even cracking 41.
So
I think in a two or days.
You might actually see sun.
There will be some
a
sun.
Thing.
There'll be some sun, which means on my house I have these gigantic ice dams. You probably don't know what that is. Most of the country doesn't.
Right.
But when ice starts to melt, turns into water, it gets to the edge of your roof, and then when it gets cold again, it just builds up into a gigantic dam that keeps all the water on your roof. It pushes up under the shingles, and then it comes inside your house, right? Sounds like so much fun. I have some really big ice dams in the front of my house, so tomorrow you'll find me on a 30-foot ladder with, like, you know,
knocking that thing off.
Like a mallet, like an 8-pound mallet, trying to break it and not crush a dog or fall off the ladder. So it should be fun.
That's exciting.
Last
night, I was out last night in Nashville. We're talking about the weather because we have to talk about the weather.
What'd you do?
Well, okay.
Oh, I know. You started telling me. I didn't hear the rest of the story.
If people don't know, if you don't know, if
Kyle's
there's only one reason
job
in the world, there's only one reason where I want to be semi-famous. Okay, all the rest of the stuff I could care less. I want an agent to be able to take a phone call from Dancing with the Stars and say yes. I know now you know things about me. Like my wife and I were obsessed with Dancing with the Stars. We went out to Dancing with the Stars last night, got to see that whole 9 yards. But also, it was so ridiculously cold. Like, we're not made for that here in Nashville.
Yeah, well, not when you're all dressed up too. There's nothing worse than dress clothes in cold weather.
And that's what it was.
Dress clothes in cold weather.
Rigid. Yeah.
Not meant to be together. You know, I was wondering, because I did notice, right? I look at your face all day long. I was like, Kyle's got that like cleaned up, like pre-NADA look.
I got it all
pre-Soda
and
Kyle,
ready.
right? I did notice that yesterday. That's really funny. I was like, oh, Kyle's got his hair did, got his beard did.
Yeah, we went on a little date, had dinner. It was great.
Did you wear a suit? Were you that dressed up?
Well, I did. I did the suit over. You know,
okay. The Nashville
shirt
suit.
and the Nashville suit.
The Nashville suit. We'll take that. We have a couple of things that we just launched today. We have a new Auto Collabs podcast from Public Policy Day with Brian Armstead, aka the voice of God. He's got the coolest voice ever. Not only when you hear his voice, yes, he is as tall as he sounds. He is. That's right. He is a striking figure in person. And just has a huge background in automotive journalism. When he talks about, you're going to be super impressed. We were impressed. We didn't even know he did all that.
No, not at all.
So check it out. It's worth the listen just to have like a James Earl Jones like voice in your earphones. So go to Auto Collabs, search Auto Collabs on Spotify, Apple, whatever, and you'll find it. Also dropped Wide Whale.
Webinar. Yeah, we had a webinar on Wednesday. You can still check it out at asodu.com. Scroll down just a little bit. There's been multiple people that have been emailing in saying like, hey, thank you so much for this type of content. The fact that it's free. We thank Wide Whale for making sure that we can make that type of content free, but also for providing so much great data and insights. You should check it out. It's an ASOTU Edge webinar. It's like less than 30 minutes. Super easy.
Very good. Hey, Nathan, I'm going to throw you an audible. Can you find a picture of the scarves?
Oh,
I'm going to talk about something else. Oh,
Watch
he's
him.
got it right there. You kidding me?
Watch.
Put that up.
watch the man work.
How did he even do that?
Watch
He's
the
like,
man work.
click,
If you can't
click.
see this show right now, you should check out the show that you can
I'm
see.
so
'cause
impressed that you just did
Oh
that,
my
actually.
goodness.
Nathan
It's
always jokes.
unbelievable.
He says, if AI ever gets to the point where it can locate files for you, he goes, I'm out of a job.
I recognize that like 45% of producing the show is trying to reach your guys' minds.
That's the hard part. AI
That's
can't do
such a
that.
hard part,
You'll never
yeah.
be able to do that. Well, look on the screen right now, we have the one and only AsotaCon 2025 soccer scarf. This has been a mainstay of every single AsotaCon. This is the fourth one. The design is pushing the limits of soccer scarf manufacturing techniques. I promise you that. It's beautiful, and we think that your company name, should be the one sponsored on the scarf this year. We have a few people interested, but if you feel like this kind of swaggy thing is your game, you should send us an email. You go to asotacon.com, click on sponsor, I'm interested, and just be like, I need to be on the scarf. This is something that Kyle and I wear the entire time, pretty much. It's so your name and your logo is like in every photo. It's on the big screens because it's around our neck. Everybody in the audience gets one. We're gonna have I think we haven't landed on this, but we were talking about, how when you show up in Hawaii, they give you a lay, they put it around your neck. We were like,
You just knight people.
no,
as
we
they
were
come
thinking
in.
about that because last year you think of show logistics and the things you don't think about are how people actually navigate the show. They went in the swag bag. And then people got their swag bags, came to the welcome reception before they even looked in the bag. So they didn't know the scarf was
I
in
had
there.
people on day 3 being like, where do I get one of those scarves? And I was like, in your swag bag, fam. In your swag
It was
bag.
so discouraging. So maybe when you come in, you register, here's your badge, and here's the ceremony. Bang.
Y'all let us know if that'd be a good idea. We should get
think
into
it
some
would be.
news, Paul.
I know. Is there news? Listen, we could talk about the tariff warnings, but we're not going to. We could talk about the ongoing NISA saga and Moody's downgrading the stock to junk status, but we're not going to talk about
Yikes.
that either. You can read about that everywhere. Instead, we're going to talk about a couple things that maybe we wouldn't usually talk about. This first one, though, we want to talk about some earnings reports. Rivian and Carvana specifically. Rivian hit a milestone, hitting its first ever positive gross profit of $170 million in Q4, which is I think $750 million improvement from the previous year. But they cut their per vehicle cost by $31,000 a unit.
How in the world?
I mean, that's how you lose $750 million. I mean, yeah,
That's unbelievable.
but 31,000. I don't know. Maybe they switched to different light bulbs. Despite this, the company still posted a $743 million net loss for the quarter. So, I mean, there's still a long ways to go. But I mean, I guess always the question is, can you hang on long enough to flip the scale?
That type of net loss is not scary for a company at that size growing at that rate, right? Gross profit, COGS are better, so we're going to see them win. And especially with some of the commercial vehicle stuff that they're doing and getting now outside of that Amazon contract,
that's true.
they're going to be fine.
Meanwhile, Carvana on the other side swung to a record net income of $159 million in Q4. They sold 114,379 used vehicles in Q4, which is a 50% increase year over year. If you remember the year before that, they were really cutting back, really in a rough spot. Full year revenue hit 13.7 billion with a record 1.4 billion of adjusted EBITDA. Stock dropped 12% though after hours due to concerns over softening used vehicle margins. CEO Ernie Garcia said, quote, in 2024, Carvana became the most profitable public automotive retailer in U.S. history as measured by adjusted EBITDA margin, while also resuming industry-leading growth. So a couple of non-conventionals.
I'm super impressed by Carvana. Obviously, we all know the story in the industry where they were basically, kind of on their deathbed and sucking wind, and then kind of have some recovery, reallocated the debt, and they've been on the upswing. The hard part here is obviously with softening vehicle margins, we've seen this before, and can a automaker like that kind of sustain? Obviously, the Odessa purchase, I think, is starting to pay off.
Took a while,
and
yes,
and so they're gonna Carvana's in it, and I would continue to pay attention to what they're doing, how they're doing it, because they've obviously figured out some aspect of this game of used cars. And man, they released that Carvana value tracker last year. I bet you trade cycle management. it's always been Ernie Garcia saying, like, we make our own market because we increase the trade cycle or decrease the trade cycle. And so watch out for them to continue to make strides, I think, on
maybe
that.
we invite Ernie to a SodaCon this year. I was thinking about that yesterday.
Yeah.
Maybe we will. If you know Ernie, hit us up, crew@asoda.com. Make an introduction. I mean, I know I have his phone number. Like, I text him and sometimes he responds. But it's been a while.
That referral intro is a helpful
We need
thing,
it fresh.
for sure.
That's a couple years old, you know. Try not to bother someone when they're about to, like, they're trying to keep their company together.
Yeah,
hey! Here's one that we might not usually cover, but I think it's a pretty good, like, blend between, like, retail and automotive. Tesla Supercharger network, obviously the best one in the game. Increased usage now from both Tesla and non-Tesla users. Long wait times have become a problem after this viral altercation at a supercharger. This video is going around. Tesla is finally launching a virtual queue system, like QUEUE. They're making a line. Basically, they're going to roll it out at select superchargers nationwide, looking to improve the experience for the less than 1% of users they iterate that experience wait times. And I guess a high percentage of those get in fights. The viral video
seems
basically
like
showing two Tesla owners arguing over kind of like who is next in line. I mean, people argue over that all the time, but this just happens to be the Tesla Supercharger. They haven't provided details on how it's going to work, but a broader rollout is expected if feedback is positive. They continue to increase and grow their network by over 20% annually to meet demand. Tesla said in a statement, their goal is a net customer experience improvement. That's a very generic statement.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, when you have a limited supply, you've got to figure out how to deal with the demand. And I would say that
at a 20 to 30 minute wait time too.
absolutely,
Right? Someone bumps you in line and
you
all of
got
a sudden
three.
that's
Yeah,
half
you
an
got
hour.
three people kind of stacked up. Like, who's next? You know, you got this jockeying for position. This is, I think this is going to be something that we continually deal with until we see 5-minute wait times for chargers, until we see broad scale charger installations. So I would watch for like most charging networks to have something like this, especially when right now 20% of the chargers in the US go down on a fairly regular basis.
Yeah, have you seen the pull through model superchargers?
No, haven't seen it.
I saw a model of those and they make a lot more sense because then it's really clear who's in line.
Right.
You know, but
instead of the parking space deal.
Yeah, it's kind of awkward, right? You pull in, you got to back out. Like, where do the people wait that are waiting when there is a wait? I don't know, but they fight over it when they get there. That's for sure. All right. Last but not least, we don't do a lot of product reviews.
No, we don't.
This one felt like unique enough.
Yeah. So Kia has revealed the exterior design of its PV5, the first EV under its platform before vehicle brand.
Look at that thing.
So it is designed to compete with electric vans like the VW ID Buzz and the Ford e-Transit. It's a modular design, so cargo, rideshare, and even what they're calling van life can be involved there. The system allows for the van to transform between different body types while keeping the driver cab fixed. So Uber has already signed an agreement to add the PV5 to its fleet as a part of its all-electric push by 2040. Haven't heard that date in a hot minute.
That's
while Kia has not shared any of their powertrain range or pricing details, more information will come out in Spain on their EV day later this month. Kia stated, with PBV, we are redefining mobility, one platform, endless possibilities. So it's kind of like going back to that Rivian skateboard kind of mentality.
Except
with
the cab stays the same, which is interesting.
It's very interesting.
I've always been a fan.
Throw that photo up again.
Yeah.
If you didn't see it, I think it's a really interesting concept. It kind of has like, you know,
VW bus vibes. I mean, honestly.
Yeah. And I'll tell you what, that VW bus commercial, the ID Buzz, came up on the TV the other night, and like my wife was like, "What is that car? That's cool."
Yeah,
you know,
I mean, hey, that would
nostalgic.
actually be a great switch over for anyone in a minivan, right? Because it's still got the minivan convenience, it looks like, and the space that it has, but it definitely has the, you know, like, are we going to the beach? Can we just put a mock surfboard on
just
top?
Put a longboard up on the top of that joke.
James Ganther comments, PV5 is ugly at the molecular level. That is cold-blooded. Like, personally, I've always been a fan of boxy vehicles. There's something about them that I just think is cool. I don't even know why. Maybe it's because I like to put graphics on things, and when you have a boxy vehicle, I'm like, I look at that vehicle, I'm like, oh, like a more than cars would look so good, you know, down the sides of that thing. I do. I think he always does a great job making great products, giving you a lot for your money. And Kia also has a great reputation for dealer relationships. So I think, just think about this. Kia commercial, right? Like Kia commercial vehicles I think they would crush.
I think they would do great. I think Kia and Hyundai are breaking into every different aspect of vehicle lineup. So watch out for it.
I know. Well, that was a fun show. There you go.
It was a great
Got a little
show.
sideways in the beginning. We ended
We
okay.
did.
Landed the plane. Hey, it's Friday, which means you got a weekend coming up, which means you have customers coming in to test drive things, get things sold, fix some problems, and you get to be in the middle of it all. See you tomorrow.